What if I told you the Britain you grew up in is gone? In some classrooms today, white British children are now the minority, outnumbered, overlooked, and quietly erased from the culture their ancestors built. This isn't a prediction, it's happening right now, and no one dares talk about it. It's a regular school morning in Britain. Children rush through the gates, backpacks bouncing, laughter echoing down the halls. But something has quietly changed. Something no one seems willing to talk about out loud. In countless classrooms across the UK, the faces, accents, and traditions that once defined Britishness are now being replaced, reshaped by forces bigger than any single generation. In many urban schools in London, Birmingham, and Manchester, white British children are no longer the majority. In some areas, they represent as little as 10% of the class. And yet, you won't see this headline on the BBC. You won't hear politicians debating it honestly, because talking about it invites accusations no one wants attached to their name. But today, we are asking the questions anyway. Not out of hate, but out of a desire to understand what happened to British identity and where is it heading. Let's rewind the clock. The post-World War II era. Britain opens its doors, first to rebuild, then to accommodate. Immigration policy becoming increasingly liberal. Successive governments, Labour and Conservative alike, roll out diversity initiatives. They celebrate a multiculturalism, a vision of Britain where everyone belongs. And for a while, it works. New cuisines, music, languages, and cultural expressions enrich British cities. From curry houses in Leicester to Afrobeat festivals in London. There's no denying the energy of cultural fusion. But behind the scenes, a quiet demographic shift is taking place. White British families, particularly in cities, begin to move out. White flight. They call it a controversial term, but one that reflects something real. As certain neighborhoods change rapidly, longtime residents feel displaced and alienated in the very communities they grew up in. Fast forward to the 2020s. The 2021 UK census reveals an uncomfortable truth. In cities like London, white British people are now a minority. In primary schools, the trend is even more pronounced. In some classrooms, you can count the white British pupils on one hand. So the question becomes, when is your culture no longer the dominant one in your own country? Does it still feel like home? Critics say demographics don't matter. They argue that identity is about values, not race or heritage. And yes, integration can be beautiful. But what if integration is no longer happening? More and more, communities live side by side, but not together. Separate shops, separate faith schools, separate languages, even separate local councils catering to their own communities. Britishness, once a unifying concept, now means different things to different people. For some, it's fish and chips and the Queen's English. For others, it's prayer mats and hijabs, tikka masala, and Bollywood beats. Is that a bad thing? Depends on who you ask. But here's the issue. When change happens too fast, people feel lost. The average working-class Brit watches as the traditions they were raised with, Remembrance Day, Christmas Please, and St. George's Day, get quietly shelved in favor of inclusive alternatives. There are reports of nativity plays being cancelled, of schoolchildren being discouraged from celebrating British-only holidays. Flags and symbols that once unified are now called offensive. You start to ask yourself, is British culture being erased, or is it being sacrificed willingly on the altar of modern progress? Let's be clear, this isn't about blaming immigrants. Most families, no matter where they come from, want the same things: safety, education, and opportunity. The real blame lies with the leadership that failed to think long-term. No integration plan, no population strategy, no cultural preservation. Instead, they let it all play out, hoping for Thebes but preparing for nothing. And now, we're here. A Britain where young white British kids grow up in classrooms where they're the minority, where they're told to check their privilege. Even if they're struggling. Asking questions about identity gets you labeled as intolerant or worse. But these kids, they deserve to be heard too. Their sense of loss is real. So is there confusion? Can you really teach British values in a classroom where no one shares the same cultural reference points? Can you maintain unity in a society without a shared story? Or is the very idea of Britishness fading away? This isn't a warning. It's a wake-up call. Because culture doesn't survive on its own. It has to be taught, passed down, protected. If we don't value British culture, the traditions, the language, the identity, who will? So ask yourself, what kind of Britain do you want your children to inherit. And are we already too late? If you believe this conversation matters, that culture, history, and identity still have a place in modern Britain, share this video, because silence won't protect what we're losing. And the next generation deserves to know what came before. If you feel like British identity is slipping away, you're not alone. But staying silent only speeds up the erasure. Hit that like button, share this video, and leave a comment below do you think British culture is worth preserving. Or is this just the new normal? Your voice matters now more than ever.